So coming up Friday, yours truly will be emceeing the high-stakes pitch competition for the culmination of the Baton Rouge Entrepreneurship Week. Finalists Saris, Dawn Audio, Juristeed, and Thrivy, or possibly Thrivy, I've still only seen it written, will be going at it. They will be under the spotlight, and joining me now to talk about this is someone who's been there before. Last year, the winner of the high-stakes pitch competition was Parks Inn. Their CEO is Manos Chatzopolous. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Brian. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing very good. Gotta start off with the before we get into the pitch competition. So you're the CEO of Parks Inn.
Correct.
And you're also an astrophysicist.
That is correct.
What's that like?
I will tell you, it's a lot of fun. You know, parking is a very tough problem.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it can be as challenging as understanding how black holes work and how stars blow up in the universe. You know, finding the parking spot can be quite daunting.
In downtown Baton Rouge, for sure. Downtown New Orleans, it's even worse.
That's right.
In fact, in downtown New Orleans, that black hole might be in the road itself. It might be an actual hole in the road. Parks Inn, what is it?
Yeah, so you can think of it as the ways of parking. So basically, it's a community of users of the Parks Inn app that just go by their lives and they generate real-time parking data. Every time you get in your car, you drive off, we put a spot on the map so other people can find parking.
Okay, so that tells me how to know that a user is in a spot. How do I know where a spot's open?
It will be on the map. It will give you turn-by-turn directions to it.
Okay, what I'm missing here is the part where you're able to fill all the spots, like to know that all the spots are accounted for or not.
Right.
Is it? You said it's user driven, right?
It is user driven. It's we call it smart crowdsourcing, and that's why we launch it in controlled environments, like for example the LSU campus or university campuses, where you already have a community of parkers every day looking for a parking spot, or, you know, being late to classes, you know, missing appointments, things like that. So we just integrate with the existing app that already has the users. Like with the BREW app, we did the same thing. We integrated, and then you got a bunch of people generating real-time parking data.
We've got Dr. Manos Chatzopolous with us talking about BREW and the high-stakes pitch competition, which is coming up Friday night. Okay, walk us through it, man. What's it like? How do they and we'll get back around to Parks Inn in a little bit and where you've gone since then. But walk us through it, man. What is it like? How we say high-stakes pitch competition. How high stakes is it?
It's definitely high stakes. It can make a difference between moving on with your idea and your business plan or just giving up. And, you know, you receive top quality coaching, guidance, help all along the way. But once you're in the spotlight, it's on you to convince the judges, to convince the audience that what you got there is something of potential value and something you can scale up and provide a real solution to a real world problem. So it's definitely something I highly recommend to any aspiring entrepreneur in our city.
So the pitch competition itself is just the culmination of a lot of work that goes into it before that.
A lot of work.
Everyone compares it to like a local version of Shark Tank.
That is true.
But Shark Tank, you've got a couple of CEOs looking to invest. With this, the judges are Shark Tank. A handful of people can walk away with money that night. This, only one company is walking away with money at the end of the night, and it's not just your handful of CEOs that might invest. You're talking about judges that are going to scrutinize everything.
Correct.
So what did you learn about your business model, or what might need to be tweaked or changed through this process?
Well, a lot of things. As a matter of fact, you know, when you start with an idea and you have this romantic kind of approach of, I'm going to solve a real world problem, you forget to put numbers on a spreadsheet. Yeah. And you're sitting down with those people will teach you, okay, is this actually a viable business model? Can you make money off of it? Can you scale it? Can you deploy it at scale with more clients? How fast can you do that? All those kind of details of how you actually build the business model. You know, as a professor of astrophysics, I'm not the best when it comes to those kind of things,
right.
to running a business. And without the coaching and support of people over at Louisiana Tech Park and the BREW, I wouldn't be able to get there.
Walk me through that. When does that start with the coaching and everything?
It starts the moment you get approved. So you submit an application. That's the first step. They scrutinize those applications. And then a few of those companies move forward to the next phase. Then there was a semifinal, in my case, back last year, where we competed against other companies, where we had to pitch our idea in front of another panel of judges. And then they assign a personal coach to you. We got to work with a great guy, Zahir, last year, who helped us out with our business model. And it's a back and forth. You know, they go through your pitch deck, they go through your financial model, they go through your pitch. And it's a trial and error until you get to a point where you have a convincing argument to make.
How much how much do you push back on the guidance? Because when you have an idea, when you are an entrepreneur, that Park Zen's your baby, man.
It
And
is.
you've cradled it and nurtured it, and then somebody's going to want to come in and tweak some things, change some things. How often did you push back on feedback, and how tough is it to not take things personally?
Well, you have to take yourself out of the equation. These people are there to help you, and they're there from the perspective of an investor and a businessman, and it's their money on the line, so they have the right to ask those questions. But of course, when it comes to the technology, and that's something we worked really hard over 2 years to build and test around the LSU campus. I can tell you how many times I busted my tire driving around, parking, testing it around the LSU campus. When you have to push back on the technology, because sometimes it's complicated, it's not easy. So some people don't get it from the first, pitch. You have to break it down to simple terms and get them on board with it.
All right, pitch competition, the big night, the big Friday night culmination of BREW. Walk me through what that was like, just from an emotional standpoint. You don't have any idea going in where you're coming out.
That is true. I mean, it's, luckily, I'm a university professor, so I'm standing in front of a lot of big audiences and large classrooms almost every day. So I'm kind of used to being on the spotlight. But this is completely different. This is about evaluating your hard work, evaluating your technology, your product, your business. And, actually, you walk out of it a better entrepreneur, because you have received very important feedback that has completely, in some cases, you have to change your business model out of it. You come out with new ideas by talking to these people, and new features for your product that provide even more value. So it definitely was a net positive in the end.
Does anything stick out in your head that was changed through the process? Like, was there something that, and it's, I mean, obviously, might not be translatable to somebody who sees the finished product as opposed to, but was there anything that stuck out in your head that you were in on before that you had to completely pivot through the process?
Well, definitely. I would say, how do you scale this thing? And, how do you formulate strategic partnerships, for example, with other apps and third-party apps where we can integrate our technology and get access to a lot of users from day one? And, how do you put a number on it in terms of dollar signs, and all that? So that definitely was a great help.
We're talking with Manos Chatzopolous about BREW, the high-stakes pitch competition coming up Friday night. So $100,000.
Yeah.
That can go a long way. Let's talk for a little bit about how you've been able to use that money to make Park Zen where it is now.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you that, Brian, without this funding, we wouldn't be able to hire a sales rep, student developers, to build out our product, to add more features, and to scale it to actual clients. This money enabled us to go and participate in some of the largest parking and mobility trade shows in North America, which was one of the best ways for us to get in front of the customers, parking lot operators, basically, for large universities, large organizations. And that enabled us, at this point, over the course of the last year, to sign up a total of 3 university clients, to be the first mobile app to bring mobile parking payments in the island of Puerto Rico and city of San Juan, and also to be selected out of a very competitive procurement process from the Virginia Department of Transportation to move forward with a large smart parking insight project.
Now, obviously, without the money, none of this is possible.
That's correct.
But with the money, as great as it is, there's still something else needed for Park Zen's growth. What do you find after the competition to be your biggest challenges?
Well, once you set the sparkle in the fire, you got to grow the fire. So it's a hustle and bustle. You have to keep going. You have to keep working on it, and going back to the Louisiana Tech Park and having repeat meetings with individuals from the BREW competition, our coaches, we're able to identify new avenues and new ways to scale this product, and viable pathways to actually taking it to the next level. Because right now it's all about taking it to the next level. It's how you make that $100,000. How does $100,000 bring you enough traction to get to a point where you raise $1 million so you can actually scale it to even more clients?
The interaction with the folks from BREW, with folks from Nexus LA, and it leading up to the competition, obviously vital. What's the connection been like since then? You're sent out into the world, but how has that relationship remained?
It remains very warm, very, very helpful. I mean, I find myself, we're virtual tenants over at the Louisiana Tech Park. So me and my team will go out there. We have, hackathon sessions, and Anytime I send an email, I need some coaching, I need some help. Please, find the time to sit down with me, give me your feedback. These people are always going to be there at your back and call, and will do everything they can to help you succeed.
It's amazing how, like, what a resource
Absolutely.
Nexus LA is, and the tech park is, and it's in our own backyard. Like, the number of people just don't even know it's there.
It's the premier entrepreneurship organization, I would say, in this region.
It is pretty fantastic. Okay, so we got 4 companies going to be going down, throwing it down on Friday night. Your advice to them would be what?
Stick to your plan, be confident, and don't be afraid to push back on your technology. You know your product better than everybody else, but take in feedback when it comes to the business model.
When it comes to the actual pitch,
right?
this is probably going to be based from CEO to CEO, from entrepreneur to
That's
entrepreneur.
But
when it comes to the actual pitch, was there a want to be more salesy or lean in on the tech end?
I would say you have to be more salesy in a little bit. You have to show people why this is of value. Technology is great, but most people, again, are not going to go down into the details. In the end of the day, they want to know, is that something that can make money? Is that something that's useful to me? So you have to be a salesman, a saleswoman.
He is Dr. Manos Chatzopolous, astrophysicist over at LSU, no big deal, but also the CEO of Park Zen, who took home the $100,000 in last year's pitch competition at the Baton Rouge Entrepreneurship Week. Manos, I appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian.